Welcome into Missing the Point. I am your host, Michael Marcangelo, joined alongside by my guy, Hollywood Rayshon Buchanan. And this week we are talking everything Patriots. We have two preseason games under wraps, and we got a lot to fucking talk about here. But before we get into that, right, just 2 games in, right? Preseason doesn't really count. How are we feeling about the Patriots?
I think that the defense has been decent, right? But that's usually what it is coming out of camp anyway. The defense is usually ahead of the offense. So, they've had a lot of bright spots there. Obviously, it hurts when you're missing Barmore. Obviously, we're getting to the Judon thing as well. But, they got some guys there that have a chance to step up there. So, been cool with the defense. Offense still has left a lot to be desired. Obviously, there's been some bright spots, but there's a lot of things they still have to work on. So if they do that, maybe they become respectable. But if not, then it would be a long season. But hopefully, they're working through the nooks and crannies of it now, so that they're much better come week 1. But they definitely have a long way to go, though. Unfortunately.
Well, while we're talking about the defense, before we talk about Judon, one of the prevailing themes so far throughout training camp in the first couple of preseason games has been Gonzo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we overinflated his worth last year, or maybe he's taken a really big step back. I mean, out of camp, we've heard that he's not acting like a number one. He's getting beat a ton of times. So, do you have any worries about that?
So, it's like, yes, but it's minimal. Like, it's not something where I'm like, oh my God, he's already becoming, Razai Dowling. So for those that don't remember that, just go back and look at that from, I think, maybe 2010 or 2011, I think out of Virginia Tech. He's not in that category yet. Or even, in recent memory, Joanne Williams, out of Purdue. So listen, everyone was excited, when he fell to 17 last year. I know a lot of people like myself, and I think even you won his Zay Flowers, if I'm not mistaken, from BC. So there's a lot on his shoulders. I do think the technique stuff, the the niche of that position, I think would have been taught better by Bill, obviously, because of just how his mind works. And I think that's why he looked so good early on last year. Despite Bill's shortcomings in other areas in recent years, he still knew how to coach up defense, and we lamented that many times on the show. So, needless to say, I think maybe he's a young guy, just kind of navigating through the reps, and yeah, we'll get into it about the wide receivers, but it's like, yo, even though it hasn't completely translated on the field yet, but Baker and Polk, just even from a practice standpoint, are better than what he's been facing in practice.
Oh yeah.
So it's like that could be a part of it. But I do think that once he gets his legs underneath them, and the more reps you get at that position, the better you become. So when I say minimal, concern, I would say it's like maybe like a 5% concern right now. I think that he turns it on and he figures it out as time goes on.
Yeah, the worry there is that like the Patriots turn into one of those, like you were mentioning before, those late 2000s esque defenses when there was no number one, right? It was after Asante and before Talib, so it was kind of like that purgatory.
Right.
I'm hoping maybe he's just a little apprehensive going through training camp, but also, listen, if he's getting cooked in practice because the receivers are better than Devontae Parker and Juju Smith-Schuster, I'm here for that too. Like
Right.
that could be a positive, because we saw what happened last year when he was on AJ Brown. He essentially locked him down.
Yeah, but even Tyreek Hill, and he got a pick while covering him. So once again, the AFC East, granted, Diggs is no longer in that division, but it's like you still got Hill, still got Waddle.
Yeah, Keon Coleman.
Yeah. Keon Coleman now is someone who should be emerging as a rookie. I think he's going to do really well. Obviously, you got Garrett Wilson up there in New York. So they have guys in that division that's going to get busy. So you better figure it out, and figure it out fast, because the division has no slouches. The AFC as a whole has no slouches. So even the bad teams have really good receivers. So you got to figure it out. And once again, I just think it's a reps thing with him. He was only in 4 games last year. I also feel like the way they practice now, the way they get into game shape, is not necessarily conducive to becoming your best version of yourself right away. So I think that's a part of it too. But our only hope is that by week 2 or 3, he's really locked in and shows the promise that he showed early last season.
So obviously, Bill's gone. He's doing every single TV thing that he can do.
Yeah, he's been good on that McAfee. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, he's been really good.
Yeah.
It's like he was just like that. Just reaffirms the fact that he was just being a dick for
for
23 years because
I mean, players to players' credit, they would say like McCourty would talk about it. Brady talked about it to an extent. Ronnie Harrison, like they all spoke about like that he had that drive, especially Elliott. I think Edelman. Yeah. I think he had a soft spot for Edelman. I think that's why he was like that with Edelman. But Edelman, I was like, look here, fucking asshole. Like it's like I think he had those moments with certain players. We know how we felt about Chad Johnson. So certain players he just gravitated to. But yeah, I just think that he only wanted that personality to be with the family, so to speak, as I put in air quotes. He didn't want to share that with the outside public. So right. It's because we might have had a different outlook on him, for the 25 years, but it is what it is.
So what I was getting at is now, because it's a whole new regime, given what Christian Gonzalez is or is not, like there's still a lot of question marks right now. Mm-hmm. Are you surprised that they didn't make a pass at Stephon Gilmore and he got swallowed up or scooped up by the Vikings?
Yeah, that's a reunited, he got reunited with Brian Flores, down there. So that wasn't a complete shocker. I think that once he had made that visit, I think the intent was to sign him, obviously. But yeah, I think that obviously with Jonathan Jones not being, fully ready to go, you don't know what Marcus Jones is going to be because he's also still hurt, after the, nice rookie season he had a couple years back. So there's still a lot of questions in that secondary. Peppers seems to be the leader of that secondary now. Once again, that's what he was supposed to be coming out of. Was it Michigan? He went to Michigan, I think. Like that's what he was supposed to be coming out of Michigan. So I'm here for it, and he has played awesome. Obviously, how I feel about Kyle Duggar. So they got those guys have to be the leaders. But yeah, I think anything to help bolster, that back end, I feel like that would have been the right move. Now, I don't know if they wanted to give him $7 million. Maybe it would have been like $5 million with the chance to get to $8 million, because you know how they are up here. And now we're learning like it's really about Kraft making those decisions, because it's not necessarily Elliott Wolf or anybody else that's in the front office. It's really Kraft that has that final say, which makes sense because he is the owner. But yeah, to me, they should have made more reports. Maybe they did. Maybe they'll come out down the road saying, hey, like they offered Stephon Gilmore $6 million, but up to $9 million or whatever. But he chose to go back and reunite with Flores. So, which by the way, I think is a really good move for them, even though they need a quarterback. But it never hurts to have enough defense.
Yeah, I was just thinking, especially that, what better way to ease Gonzo back into like the role that we need him to be than letting him know that he has someone that will hold down the other side of the field. Right. And Gilly isn't a number one anymore.
No.
But he's still a solid number two, like a really solid number two. Right. And he could fit into a scheme, which is why I was surprised. I mean, if we do hear about contract numbers later down the road, you'll know it's a Kraft production if we don't hear about guaranteed money, because they love talking about AAV and not telling us like what were they actually going to pay the player, which leads us to Matthew Judon. 32-year-old Matthew Judon on the last year of his contract, scheduled to make I think $6.5 million. He was traded to the Atlanta Falcons, who looked to be all in because they needed that. They obviously, one of their pass rushers went down. They went out, they got one. He still has not signed a new deal, but they did get a 3rd-round pick back for that. Right. So, were you surprised about the trade when it happened? And I guess, how happy were you about what we got back?
So, I mean, for a guy that obviously fell out of favor here really quickly, to get a 3rd-round pick, which is a day 2 pick, that's not bad, honestly, especially when he's in the final year of his deal. There's still no deal in place, as you just alluded to when you brought that up. So, I don't know. I mean, I think to me, of course, I was a big Judon guy. You were a big Judon guy. Like we all enjoyed his play here when healthy. But at the end of the day, when you're coming off of a season where you played 4 games, when you're coming off the last 2 seasons where you get to 10, 11 games, and you're really strong those first 11 to 12 games, and then when it's December, going into January, you fall off quicker than Stephen A's hairline. So it's a problem. And I think to me, that's what they were looking at. And it was like, okay, yeah, we value you as a player, we value you as a locker room leader. You've been nothing but an upstanding individual since your time here in 2021. We gave you that bump last year because we wanted to avoid what happened now. But in order for us to go forward, we are in the youth movement. We need to get younger. And although you helped the locker room, you help us on the field, it was better for us to move on at this time. To me, I thought, Mayo was out there tap dancing, like Ray Hines earlier, or whatever he had that press conference about, it's a win-win. Like I said, he's talking in parables right now. A lot of code he's talking in my opinion. He's trying to be what his successor was or predecessor was, and it's like, bro, like be you. But we can get into that later on. But yeah, I just think that I'd like to move for Atlanta. I think getting him and getting Simmons, fixing them trying to be contenders. This year, obviously when they signed Kirk Cousins to that 4-year deal coming off of ACL injury, so clearly they mean business at this moment. So yeah, I like it. But I know we'll get into the other part about how they communicated with him shortly. But just my initial thoughts is that I'm glad they got something back for him and that they didn't let him walk for nothing.
I mean, listen, a 3rd-round pick for you talked me into this because I was like,
yeah, I know he was hot. He was hot. Yeah, he was mad.
You should have got more, but I mean, I guess that's a pretty good haul. But I was most surprised that obviously Judon sat down with NBC Sports Boston's Kayla Burton.
Come on the show, Kayla.
When she asked, how did it come to this point? Judon said, I quote, "I don't know. I just feel like we never sat down and they never really came to the table with me." So I think that's the biggest point. It's like they kind of didn't know where I was at and we didn't know where they were at. Right. It was always through text messages or phone calls. We never actually sat down.
Right.
How shocking is that your locker room leader, probably one of the most well-known people that are still on the Patriots, given all this change that's happened over the last year, but also the last 4 years, how do you not actually sit down with the guy and say, this is what we want to do?
So, because his birthday just passed, right? He just passed. Yep. So, and not to get too much into astrology, but he's a Leo like yours truly. I just celebrated my birthday last Wednesday, right? So
that eliminates you from certain lists, by the way.
It does. But he this is the thing. When we feel or we're upset or hurt about something, one, you're going to know. Because you see it in our face, you see it in our disposition, you see it even in our tone, right? And you could tell that he was hurt. You tell he's not lying. He's not lying about how they addressed it. And I wish I could say I'm shocked, but I'm not. Because once again, they've always done this. They've always operated in this era of craft of and I get it, right? The name on the front means more than the name on the back. I'm that fan. I believe that. I still believe that. However, you still need a mix of veterans and young talent in order to bring in more talent, but also help develop the talent you have here in place. So for them to be somewhat dismissive of him, and once again, you could have just gave him 10.5 this year, 10.5, which has been a $4 million increase, 10.5 this year, and then let him walk this year. Now, I would have been mad about letting him walk next year for nothing because I felt like, well, man, how do you not get something if you know you weren't going to bring him back the following up season? That would have been annoying. So once again, I give credit to Elliot Wolf for saying, hey, you know what? If you feel that we didn't do right by you, we apologize for not having the communication that we should have had with you with someone that's been of significant importance for us. But, at this time, we think it's best for us to move on, for you to move on. And, we wish you the best, not just right now, but in the future. So I think, once again, Elliot Wolf did a really good job at that. I don't know if, Bill definitely would have dealt him, but it would have been in the middle of the season. He just would have put him on PUP like he did with Gilmore and then traded him, right? I do think if this was going to be the end result, I do think that this should have been done around the draft, though, because maybe you could have got more than a 3rd-round pick. Maybe you could have got a 2nd and 3rd. Maybe you could have got maybe another player in return and the picks, right? So it's not the NBA, but obviously someone who's been a 4-time Pro Bowler, someone who is still one of the best at his position when healthy. Maybe the return could have been a little bit greater, but nevertheless, under the gun, or as you say, gun to your head, they did the best they could. So that's all we can be. That's all we can be proud of or be happy.
So would you rather them do exactly what they did to get a 3rd-round pick for him, or pay him $10.5 million and see what happens next year?
I mean, I think if I felt that they were a little closer, and like I said, we'll get into more of what they are as a team. But if they were a little bit closer, I would say, yeah, like you gotta find a way to maintain the talent. But because they're not as close as they, maybe will be in a year, maybe not two, as you alluded to, we spoke about this off the air. I think it makes the decision easier not to bring back guys that are on the other side of 30 that have been injury prone, and although they contribute to winning and contribute to the organization positively, they just say, hey, you know what? It's not worth the trouble. We'll find someone that can do that. So, Keon White, it's your turn. Josh Uche, it's your turn. Devon Goshout, it's your turn. Like, there's Dietrich White. I mean, he's been here for a while, but Dietrich White is like, now you'll have more of a, an increased role. So a lot of guys now have that role, and they got to kind of do it by committee, kind of like the 03 Red Sox. We're not having a real closer, you're just doing it, from Scott Williamson to Mike Timlin, so on and so forth. So you got to figure it out. So hopefully they do that though.
Now, I mean, with the loss of Judon, that's going to make the potential loss of Christian Barmore like that much more felt. Like this, that was a solid defensive unit and a solid front seven, right? They could create havoc. So like we're still hoping that he can come back at some point, but the most important is that he's healthy. Switching gears though, so in game 2, Drake May showed flashes of why they picked him 3rd overall, right? Yeah. I think in the preseason, I don't know how you look at things, but for me, when I'm trying to figure out if the quarterback's good or not, it's can he make the throws? Because we want them to make the catches, obviously, in the regular season, but he made some big throws in that game and hit the receivers dead in the hands. They just couldn't come down with it. I felt like, wow, this is the first time I'm seeing a quarterback in New England with that type of power since number 12 left. But also, I think he looked confident in his throws. What I really liked was that when the throw wasn't there, he actually threw it away.
Exactly.
He got it over the sideline, not to be picked off by throwing against his body. So what did you think of his game 2 performance?
Yeah, so I mean, I was there, and because shout out to my mom for getting us the tickets for the game, but it was cool to see, just how like his body language moving around. Like I don't think that he looked as confident. Even granted, he only played 7 snaps in week 1 of the preseason, but yeah, you could tell that whatever they've been working on with him in practice has started to show up on the field in real time. And yeah, I mean, listen, we haven't had someone ever, or maybe since Jim Plunkett, we weren't alive for then, that could use his legs to to score a touchdown, right? So we saw that. We saw him be a check down Charlie when he needs to be. The throw to Baker is what you're talking about, right? That throw to Baker, he stepped in confidently, around the pocket that wasn't necessarily clean, stepped into it, didn't have the hitch in his throw that was being reported on early on in OTAs, and hit him in stride, right? Hit him in stride,
between defenders.
Right. We have between defenders. So, Baker just has to do a better job of getting that in the regular season. Because once again, where you're going to be counted on to make that catch on a 3rd and 8 when, they call him got to have it plays. You got to have it. So hopefully, he cleans that up and he gets better in that regard. But yeah, the confidence is there. I know we spoke about, I think on a previous show, about when he should play or not play. And I think the news came out today. So look, Caleb Williams, obviously, we know was going to be the starter in Chicago. Jaden Daniels, the number 2 pick, has now been named the starter in Washington.
Don't get me started. Go.
Once again, if you're already not going to be good, right? It's not like, and we'll speak more about that when we get into the the projections of the games. But it's like, if you're already not going to be good, it's becoming more clear by the day, really by the practice, who the guy is, right? So if you're seeing that, and once again, going by what our new head coach said, if he's better than Jacoby Brissett, So if he is, I'm a teacher. That's a conditional statement. If he is, which he is, then so that's the end part of it. Then he'll start. So if he is, he's better than him. He should be starting. Is that plain and simple? Get him the reps, that he deserves. Cater the offense to him, Alex Van Pelt. Because once again, this is probably your only chance that you're going to get as an offensive coordinator. There's a reason why you haven't been in that role. Only they know. We don't know, but only they know. So figure that part out. When you moved him under center, right? Because that's where all the stuff was happening. He was getting moved under center. It was a fumble, some other stuff. But when he was in gun, you move them around. It's like, oh, he could actually function in the offense. So I don't know. I just think, to me, we're seeing on tape, we saw it in the game, we're now hearing it in practice now more and more. We see who's emerging. Go with the kid.
Well, but if you're going to use Washington and Chicago as places who are seeing their first round talent and making a choice, I would just argue those two organizations, sorry, DK, are not the pinnacle of quarterback grooming, right?
Sure.
So I don't know if I would take my licks from them. I would say, if you feel like you could actually protect Drake May, because that's what I think it's boiling down to in New England.
Right.
Can we keep him upright, or are we going to kill him? Like, is he going to get hurt?
Yeah, no, facts. And I think, obviously, he'd have to use his legs a lot more, obviously, than we would want him to, obviously, early on. But obviously, it's up to Andrews, Strange, Michael Windu. I don't know who their left tackle is going to be. I know
neither do they.
Yeah, neither do they, right? So once again, I seen the post earlier. They was like, "Yo, you had Shaq Mason here. You could have paid him." So then you would have had Owenu, Mason, Andrews. Fine. We had him getting Strange, and then whoever your left tackle was going to be. And it's just like it's really weird, right? Because we went from a time when, and maybe it's the coaching of it, right? Maybe that plays a part into it, right? Because obviously you're losing Dante Scarnecchia. But it's like, yo, you've always had decent linemen, whether you got her from Gold's Gym, whether you drafted him in college. So from Damian Woody to Dan Copen to Stephen Neal to Mike Compton to
Matt Light.
To Matt Light, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like you've had these guys, to Nate Solder eventually. Like you've had guys here that have done really well. And once again, part of it, yes, was the coaching and the scheming, and also playing in front of the best quarterback that's ever played the game also helped. But at the same time, it's like, how did it get so bad that they can no longer develop great linemen like that? Or just find them, right? Because who they since 2018, like is anybody they drafted that's been a Pro Bowler at lineman? I'm saying I'm trying to think. So Isaiah Wynn, who's still in the league, but no. Yanni Kaju, something. I think I may be saying it wrong, so I'm assuming for saying his name. But that's another one. Didn't do anything. Obviously, Strange hasn't been. So I'm like, they've missed so far on these interior linemen. City So hasn't done much. Antonio Mafia has done. So it's just like they've missed so much at that position. It's just like, how do you not go and spend money?
But besides
for that role, because you need it.
Besides Joe,
if you can't block him.
Besides Joe Tooney, right?
Right. Sorry, yeah. So, but I mean, he was before the last 5 years.
No, but what I'm going to ask you though is, besides Joe Tooney,
mm-hmm.
do any of the offensive linemen from Kansas City make Pro Bowls? I don't think so.
Tooney helps them.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Tooney All Pro. Yeah. So yeah, no, they don't. I mean, once again, they don't. I mean, Will Shields, who was a great lineman for them back in the day, or great guard for them back in the day. Willie Roaf as well, who played in Kansas City and New Orleans. Like those were their big, like, All Pro type linemen. So yeah, you're right. I can't name anybody on their line, but I also know that 15 barely gets touched, and it's not because he's the golden goose. They uphold him.
So my hypothesis, because you're a teacher, was that because the play falls apart so quickly now, quarterbacks are forced to move outside the pocket or do something and extend the play.
Right.
And I would have to say, like, you'd have to look at those teams that have the standard pocket passers to see who the actual like offense, like the all pro or Pro Bowl offensive linemen are, because now,
Right.
I mean, I don't know of a Pro Bowl offensive lineman from Baltimore. I don't think you need. I don't think you need one.
Oh my God. Marshall Yanda. Is he he's
Is your Pro
a
Bowler?
I think he is. Yeah, Marshall Yanda. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I mean, once again, I mean, someone in the comments when we drop this, let us know. I think he's one. But once again, I don't. I said don't know anybody else on the line, but it's once again, I don't need guys to be Larry Allen, Steve Hutchinson, Orlando Brown. That's not. I'm not looking for. Oh, Orlando Brown's and Kansas City. That's another one that he came over from Baltimore. That's the other guy. But his father, Leonard Brown Sr., like you don't need I don't need you to be that level. It'd be great. It'd be awesome. But once again, can I get a Stephen Neal 2.0? Can I get a Dan Copa 2.0? Can I just get that? Because once again, it's amazing to me how far they've fallen off in that category. Once again,
Right.
that used to be that should never be a concern. Never be a concern. And now it's like you're worried about as soon as the ball is snapped, dudes is grasping at the jersey. That's crazy to me. That's wild. That's unbelievable. And that's 1-16. That's unbelievable to me, man. And that's what's become. That's what's happened. It's wild.
So just so we can correct ourselves before those feral little bastards in the comment section do it for us.
Right.
In the AFC last year, offensive tackle Laramie Tunsil from Houston.
Yep.
From Miami. Quentin Nelson from Indy.
Yep.
Then you get Joel Bitonio from Cleveland.
Okay.
And then the reserves are Joe Tooney at guard,
Yep.
Orlando Brown from Kansas City,
Yep.
and Creed Humphrey was the starting center in the Pro Bowl from Kansas City. So Kansas City had 3.
Okay. So right. So okay. So 3 out the 5. So okay. So think about that. So 3 out the 5, it's from, and once again, part of it is team success. Part of it is just who they're playing in front of. I get that, right? But at the same time, those guys are some of the best at their position. That matters. And there's a reason why Copeland and them boys, like I said, was getting to the Pro Bowl. I mean, even though they weren't always getting invited because we was usually making a Super Bowl, thankfully. But it's like that to me, that's the goal. That has to be the standard. And it's just like until that gets fixed. Listen, and once again, we'll get. I keep saying that we'll get into the prediction because we will. If they're not as good next year as some believe they, as some want them to be, obviously, because I will always want them to do well. I'm all in on dude from LSU, Will Campbell. I'm all in. It's time. You need the left tackle of the future. You're looking at him. He's super athletic. He moves guys out the way. Like Ludacris song "Movement" should be his anthem when he walks because he moves people out of the way. So if that's the case, Will Campbell, you are a New England Patriot. He should.
Listen, for those listening, you may remember that it was August or September of last year that our own Hollywood Rayshon Buchanan told us he liked Drake May.
Mm-hmm.
He liked Drake May in New England. Like look after him, and so you have a pretty good track. You do it for football what I did for Porzingis in basketball. So I think what you're saying, right? I think what you're saying, it's a heart. But one of the things, we talked about the Baker drop. But I see as a whole, the rookie wide receivers, they seem to be better than any class that we've drafted in the top couple of rounds in like the last 20 years, right? So out of the two, who are you looking to break out? Because obviously, me, it's Polk.
So I'm Javon Baker. I think I'm on the bandwagon with him. I mean, I think Polk's gonna be really good too. But I'm saying I feel like I've gravitated a little bit more to Javon Baker. I like his personality too. I feel like he was talking crazy coming out the draft. I like that and a wide receiver. So once again, and not even just being here, like anywhere, but especially here, like you got to back up what you're saying, bro. So once again, I think he's going to have big moments. I think that I'm excited to see it, but obviously with them two, I'm excited to see that Kayshon Boutte is getting some real good playing time now as well. Because once again,
he just doesn't drop anything.
He doesn't.
He catches everything.
Yeah, and I'm just like that. That to me, like the separation still isn't like super great because like I said, I got a chance to see it live on Thursday. But if it's in his radius, he's like I said, he's getting it. And it's like it's ironic that he wears 80 here because the last number. Well, I mean, I'm not talking about Amendola. I'm talking about he reminds me more of a Troy Brown. Because Amendola was quicker, he was shiftier, like he could get in and out. But Troy Brown was that guy that if it was in the area, he was catching it, and you can count on him to get you a quick first down. Go to him on a 37, 2nd and 5, whatever it may be, and he was going to deliver. So hopefully. That's what he can become here because I say obviously Troy Brown was a champion and a Pro Bowler at his position, so that's the hope. But as far as the rookies go, like, yeah, Baker, Polk, obviously.
There's no chance that these two turn out to be Kembrell Tompkins and Aaron Dobson 2.0, right?
I mean, there's always a shot because it's here.
Well, Bill's gone.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, but I mean, just even because. I mean, I'm thinking about just even the last 30 years, right? Since Kraft's been here. But I mean, did he draft Terry Glenn? The Kraft?
Yeah, he made Parcells draft Terry Glenn.
Okay, so Glenn,
Deion Branch.
Okay, but I'm thinking, okay, so Deion Branch. I mean, obviously they fell into Gronk, but Gronk was a tight end.
If we're talking like first couple of round wide receivers, it's Branch.
Mm-hmm.
Terry Glenn,
and
then the misses are, I mean,
Chad Jackson,
Bethel Johnson,
obviously
Tompkins and Aaron Dobson. Listen, he couldn't stay healthy, but Malcolm Mitchell should have been what we needed.
Oh yeah, he
had everything.
Crazy. I think he would have been the guy. He would have been. Right? He would have been. And honestly, and this is a lot of pressure put on Malcolm Mitchell, but I still think because that's all Brady ever needed. Just give him a 1. I think Brady still finishes his career. You know what I'm saying? I think they figure it out. And Malcolm Mitchell was someone that was getting 80 catches for 1,000 yards, which I think he would have been on his way to doing. It's unfortunate because once again he made some big catches. I remember that game. Oh God, I think it was San Francisco where Brady I think rolled out to his right through a fucking seam. Down to I don't know how Malcolm Mitchell found Malcolm Mitchell and Malcolm out of there gone, and I was like, oh, I said this is not normal up here. We don't have that guy, not a wide receiver, anyways. Once again, maybe at tight end some other. We don't never get to that wide receiver, but once again, it was also finding. We were pretty good for a while too, finding guys from other teams to do really well. So.
Yep.
Evans and Patton. I think about guys like Brandon Lloyd was phenomenal here.
Yep.
Phenomenal.
People will forget, but he was.
Yeah, he was great. Lloyd was great. Brandon Tate, it was good here.
Yep.
So it's just like they were good at finding guys that weren't that great elsewhere and come here, and then they have a career year here, right, for a year or two, and then they get their payday and they move on. So hopefully we can find that through the draft here. It'd be great to become the next Chase and T. Higgins. That'd be phenomenal.
I mean, the odds are though, right? Like with Keyshawn Boutte, Javon Baker, Jalen Polk, and let's just call it Demario Douglas.
Mm-hmm.
Out of those 4, one of them have to be an upper echelon.
Well, right now it'd be Pop. Like Pop's the leader.
Yeah.
Pop, then Boutte. I would say probably Polk right now, and then Baker's last right now. But yeah, something has to give. Something has to give. And once again, to me, the reason why I've been skeptical, and we've always been skeptical of that position, is because of the player development at that position, right? So, we've, praised how Pittsburgh does with wide receivers. We praised what's happened with up in, Cincinnati with Higgins and Jamar Chase.
It's not hard to develop Jamar Chase.
But we say that, but how many times have we seen guys that dominated in college and then they kind of fall off in the NFL? So it also helped that he was back with his quarterback. That helped, obviously.
Right.
And that's the thing. Like, that's why I was so adamant about trying to find Alabama receivers, but we weren't bad enough to get an Alabama receiver after the Brady. Like, we were right in the middle. And none of those guys were going to fall. Well, I mean, one of them did, but he ended up letting him go to Houston. That was something that was John Mechie. So it was just like, which I'm glad to see that he's back on the field. As a side note, he looked really good in their game the other night. So hopefully
he'll play.
He'll play, right? So yeah, it's just like I don't know, but yeah, something's got to give, and I'm hoping that their development picks up, because it's just like at some point, like you said, someone's got to hit. Like, it's unbelievable how much offensive talent has come through here that they drafted, and they all just blow. Like, there's no other way to, there's no other way to say it. Like, you try to dress it up, you try to give them some type of positive accolade, but it's like they've really been subpar. The only position that was ever decent here when drafted was running backs.
Yep. Listen, we all talk about Chad Jackson because we're of that age group, but I'm telling you right now, the N'Keal Harry pick will go down as the worst wide receiver pick made by Bill Belichick because of who was drafted after him.
Right.
Like, that's offensive.
Sure. H.A. Brown cried. The man cried because he didn't get picked. Like, it's so, like, the fact that we have the Ryan Leaf of wide receivers is awful.
Awful. We have both of them. Both of them.
Right.
Yeah.
The Ryan Leaf of wide receivers, man. It's just like,
and like we have the Ryan Leaf and Johnny Manziel wide receivers.
Crazy.
So before we get into our season predictions and win-loss predictions, my buddy, my bro, my co-host, Hollywood Rayshon Buchanan, has swapped out his gin and juice, and he is sipping straight haterade on the Patriots this year. he is blowing everything up. He's saying that this is it's year 4 of a rebuild. They suck. I don't want to support them. So I'm just going to ask you, like, why is it so hard for you to start the rebuild now, knowing that everything from the last 24 years, aside from the owner, is gone? Belichick, gone. Brady, gone. This is a whole new regime. I know the last 2 years have been tough, but this is actually, we're starting from ground zero.
So I'm glad you brought this up, because I took a screenshot of someone on Twitter earlier, right? And we just kind of talked about it, but I want to go further into it. So from 2019 to now, this has been the day 1 and 2 offensive picks. So in 19, N'Keal Harry, Damian Harris, Johnny Kajus.
I like Damian Harris, by the way.
Huh?
I like Damian Harris. He retired,
he was good. Yeah, Damian Harris was good, right? So that's him, right? Okay. So in 2020, another birthday twin of mine, Devin Asiasi and Dalton Keene. Never saw a lot of day here, right? And 21, Matt Jones, okay, Pro Bowl, then you fall off into the abyss. 2022, Cole Strange and Tyquan Thornton. Thornton is a toothpick, and then Strange just hasn't done anything on the field. And then last year, they didn't draft anybody. In 2023, they didn't draft anybody, and day 1, day 2 offensively. So to me, when the reason why I said that, it's like, to me, that's where some of those guys should have been part of the rebuild there, and then you start adding to that. So in my mind, I'm like, the rebuild's been happening since 2019, even though they ended up losing in the first round to Tennessee. But to me, that's when the rebuild started. So once Brady left, that's when the rebuild started. Not now, it's because Bill's gone. It's like, you had guys in place, and none of those guys, except for Damian Harris, have worked out. So that's what I'm trying to wrap my mind around. And I'm like, that's why I'm like, I guess maybe I'm not feeling it that it's become a rebuild 2.0, because I don't see it that way. So obviously I'm open to hearing why it should be a rebuild 2.0, how it should be viewed as a rebuild 2.0. But that's where my mindset is, why I'm kind of so against it right now. If that makes sense. So only because like I said, I think about it from what happened in 2019 all the way up to now, and how they just kept missing and kept missing and kept missing and kept missing. It's like, when
let me ask you a question. the 98, 99 Bulls, right?
Okay.
If they had kept Phil Jackson and Scottie Pippen, but Michael and DJ and Dennis Rodman, everyone else is gone, would you have considered that a rebuilding year?
You said they kept Michael, you said?
No, Michael's gone.
No, Michael's
Rodman's gone. Pippen and Phil Jackson, or just Phil Jackson. If he's still the only person there left from that era, is it a rebuild? Because that's what we had here.
They legit, but at least see with them right away, they became terrible right away. Like
because everybody, including the coach, left.
No, right? No, I'm saying, I was like, they were bad But they at least with us, like, it's okay. We were bad in 2020. Then they turned around a little bit and make the playoffs in 2021. Like, them Bulls teams were awful until really it's about, I think about maybe 5-6 years later, where they drafted Ben Gordon, drafted oh God, I forget who else was on that team, but Eddie Curry, Tyson Chandler. Because that was the problem too. They drafted Tyson Chandler and Eddie Curry back to back, and it was just like, you got the two bigs after you had the two best wings of all time on. It was like, okay. So people was like, what are you doing? So once again, it goes back to, okay, the drafting. You're drafting guys.
Well, no, I'm with you here, but the comparable. It actually doesn't happen as much as you would think in the NFL, where the quarterback leaves the coach. It's always the coach leaves the quarterback, right? But like, listen, if we don't draft N'Keal Harry in 2019 and we draft DK Metcalf, Brady retires a Patriot.
Correct. Even just Debo, not even. I'm telling you, not even. Even it doesn't even have to be DK. Even if it was AJ Brown, like we said, if it's AJ, if it's Debo, even if we drafted the guy we were just looking to get, because Ayuk was in the same draft too.
Right.
That's insane.
So, but when you think about that, like, you go 12 before that year, they lose in the divisional round. Brady leaves. Right. The next year, COVID year, we go 7-9 with Cam, with the quarterback that can't throw.
They were 2 plays away from going 9-7.
Right. Defense still looked pretty good.
Right.
And the next year, you draft Mac, and you still have enough of your defensive players that were there for Brady. You're like, okay, we can still be competitive. They go 10-7. So then you're like, okay, that's that purgatory right there, 10-7, and you really haven't done anything to make your future better. And we saw it there. Like, when they spent all that money, I remember doing a show with you. I said out loud, teams that spend $150 million, usually, this was a stat that I pulled up then, it's always a +3 wins for the next season, and then they fall off the fucking cliff. Guess what? That's exactly what happened. Right? So Brady's gone, Bill's gone, everything about the Bill regime is gone. That's why I think this is year one of a rebuild. So I would ask you, if we assume that I'm right, which I always like to, but just for purposes of discussion, if we both agree that this is absolutely year one of the rebuild, how do we compare to other teams right now in year one? The Bears.
I mean, maybe the Bears, maybe even Houston too, maybe. Because once again, people look at it now and like the hindsight 2020, because it's just, but I'm like, it was dark. It was dark.
Right.
in NRG Stadium. It was dark. But shout out to Nick Caserio. They kept drafting at the top, and whether it was Will Anderson, whether it was DJ Stingley, corner from Clemson, I think. So they just kept hitting high, and they developed, they developed. And then, we need a quarterback too. Oh, they got him. Bam. Now they're rolling, right? So, and once again, this has been said on local radio shows. This has been said on national shows as well. Remember, CJ Stroud looked awful in preseason last year himself.
We talked about that game. We were like, wow, he was pretty
that's the regular season, and it was like, oh, okay, like this man, can deliver. So, and now he'll be the next guy that's paid if he continues to ball out. So yeah, I don't know. I think, like I said, I think it's similar to Houston, similar to what we saw in Chicago as well.
Well, it's definitely not Chicago. Because
I thought you meant like in the past. I'm not right now. I'm saying
I'm talking about year one of right now, like the last couple of years, right? Last 2 years. What I would say is you don't like.
But they've been making moves though before. Like when you get guys on defense, right? Like you get guys on defense, you end up going. You go get Keenan Allen. You go draft Roman dudes. Like you go. They make other moves, and they say, okay, maybe we're a quarterback and some players away, like DK was saying on the show last week. And it's just like that's where, and that's okay. So for instance, that's where I thought we were in 2022, right? Or even going into 2022, right? I'm like, okay, you go 10-7, just plug in a few, because that's how it's always been, right? You plug in a few more, now you bump up to maybe 12-5. Now you're hosting a game at Gillette, right? And that's what I was thinking. But obviously, some people get hurt. Obviously, you bring in me as an offensive coordinator, and it all goes to shit.
Well,
So that's what happened. But it's just like, it's like,
but we can all agree that
yeah,
the death of Mac Jones in New England occurred in Buffalo
2022.
when Bill was able to win a game with him only throwing twice. That was it. Like the Bill saw all he needed to see. He was able to shut down what he believed is a high-powered offense. Never mind the fact that it was a fucking typhoon and 80-mile-an-hour winds. He said, my defense shut down that offense, and my offense only had to throw the ball 3 times. That's it.
Yeah, yeah, and remember, because I think it was me and Joe did that show right after that. I was livid. I was livid about that win. And Joe was like, they won. And I was like, I'm like, no. I said, you don't understand. I was like, they didn't let Mac cook, and I felt this. I knew what was coming, and obviously that's what ended up happening. But I'm just like, how do you not let him, do more? Once again, they was like that was like in the middle of their 7-game winning streak too. Like they was on fire. And even in the game they ended up losing to Indianapolis, like he was starting to catch fire in the fourth quarter, as he did a lot that year. So I don't know, but yeah, it's unfortunate that that's how it unfolded. It really
best
is.
you can hope for is that you turn into Houston. You don't end up like Carolina, because you can't be Carolina.
Right, exactly, right. So okay, so maybe we are Carolina, right now, right?
Yes.
And once again, that's really, really, really putrid. Like it's really it's sickening.
Well, you can be Carolina for a year, 1 year, as long as you don't trade away your first-round pick.
Yeah, obviously I know there was speculation of that, going into this year, but it's just like there's no way. Once again, next year, and I'll keep saying this, so you got to get the tackle. So once again, there was conversation around Joe Alt this year, from Notre Dame. I think Joe Alt went to not New York. Where did he go to? I know he went 5th overall. I figure what team he ended up getting drafted to, but
Wasn't it the Chargers?
Chargers, yes, there you go. Yeah, I was Chargers. Yep. So it's like you got to get the guy. And once again, Chargers have drafted Rashawn Slater lately because they keep Herbert upright. Once again, that matters. Once again, Tony Romo's career got extended for a few years because he went to Jerry Jones and said, "Hey, I need a line. It does not matter for us to go 12-4 or 11-5 if I can't be blocked." And Tyron Smith, Travis Frederick, like you get all these guys there that can actually block. And what do you know? You go 12-4. Granted, once again, they win Super Bowl, but you prolong his career by 3 or 4 more years because you listen to your quarterback. So I beg of you, Elliott Wolf. I beg you, Jerome Mayo. I beg of you, Robert Kraft, and whoever else is making decisions, Jonathan Kraft, whoever. Please go get some linemen. Once again, you have the cap space next year. You have the cap space the following year because a lot of guys come off the book because you signed everybody on short money. Go throw the bag at somebody. You've got to. Them days is over where guys is coming here for a 20% discount. That's not happening now. Not happening. It's not. So you got to throw the bag. You got to. Until you're the team that's desired and you can make people take a pay cut, until then, you got to throw the bag. So keep that in mind.
So, as has become a tradition here over the last 4 years, it is now that time of the year where Ray and I will make our predictions before we have on who we hope to have on again in the next couple of weeks. Basically a member of the show, Karen Regan.
Right. Exactly.
And we'll go ahead and we will give you our predictions for the New England Patriots in the 2024 season. All right. So, week 1, September 8th, at Cincinnati.
Lost.
Right?
Lost.
Okay. Yeah, I have them at a loss too. Week 2 versus Seattle at home.
Loss.
I have that as a win. So I have them at 1-1.
So I'll share that at the end, but okay, go ahead. You're going.
Well, what are you afraid of with Seattle now?
No, it's not about afraid. So you know how me and you have gone back and forth as we always do. But this in particular had really grinded my gears because I'm like, they were actually pretty good at home, but until the playoffs, the Celtics, actually they turned it around this year, but they had their issues at home, right? And that used to be it.
I know where you're going with this.
Right. So they fucking suck at home now. That's not an opinion. That's a fact. Yeah, that's a fact of life. They suck at home. So I have no trust. Once again, I know preseason game, right? There's no buzz around there. There's no buzz coming in. It used to be killer season. It was hunting season where you came down Route 1, instant led, not looking at Red Robin, not looking at a lighthouse, not looking at Olive Garden, not looking at the Showcase Cinema Deluxe. And when you came into Route 1, you knew you was getting your ass whooped. Now it's like, hey, we're here for family fun. It's a fucking problem, Mike. It's a problem. That once again, Mom, thank you. We had a great time, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It is not what it was. I had to get that out. I've been cool about it all show, but I knew I was talking about it once we got to this, and it's wild. It's wild that now it's about family fun and the lighthouse and Red Robin and the pro shop and running on the field and looking at the people that shoot the musketeers, shoot the guns. So it's like, come on. It used to be hunting season up there, man. And now it's about real. I'm going on a Falcons type rant about the pink hats. That's what it feels like. It feels like the pink hats have taken over Gillette, and it's about family fun over winning 59-0. That's them days are over, and it pisses me off. So I got that out there.
Yeah, I don't want to step on your feet here on that rant. Yeah. That was awesome. 2 questions. One, did you go to the lighthouse?
No, I'm no. I went straight to my no.
And the other thing was going to be the Pink Cats have been in New England since 2007. We were just winning, so you didn't notice them. But I think they're gonna be less Pink Cats now because this team is going to be awful. Right now, I have them at 1-1. You have them at 0-2. Thursday, that's week 3. Thursday Night Football at the Jets on Prime.
Loss.
I also have it as a loss. All right, so week 4 at San Fran.
Loss. Right.
Week 5, Miami comes in here.
Loss.
I also have that as a loss too. So they're 1-4. You have them at 0-5.
Right.
Week 6 versus Houston.
Loss.
Yeah, that's a loss for me as well.
Yep.
In London against Jacksonville for week 7.
Win.
I also have that as a win. So they are 2-5 for me, 1-6 for you.
Yep.
Come back and we host the Jets.
Loss.
I have that as a win.
No way.
I'm telling you,
it used to be a staple that when the other guy was here, there's once again, if number 8 is healthy, there's no way. There's no way they beat them with Aaron. No way. Not healthy Aaron Rodgers. No way.
So they're 1-7 for you, right?
Yep.
And they're 2-6 for me.
Yep.
Week 9 at Tennessee.
Win.
I also have that as a win. So they are 3-6 for me, 2-7 for you.
Yep.
Week 10 at Chicago.
Loss.
Yep. Okay. That's 3-7, 2-8. Week 11 at the Chargers.
Oh.
Yep. No, that's home. That's home versus.
Well, I mean, so technically yes, because they share the same stadium.
Oh, sorry, home versus the Rams.
Yeah, loss.
I also have that as loss.
Yep.
Week 12 at Miami.
Loss.
Week 13 home against Indy.
Loss.
Yeah. Okay, so through 13 weeks, I have them at 3-10. You have them at 2-11.
Yep.
Okay, bye week. First game after the bye, week 15. So it's a week 14 bye is going to be. This is going to be a rough year. We are at Arizona.
Loss.
I have a win.
Loss.
Okay, so they are 2-13 for you.
Yep.
They're 3-12 for me. Okay. At Buffalo for week 16.
No, 2-12 because there's so 3 more games. So 2-12. 2-12 for me.
Yeah, 2-12. Yeah. Is that true? Yeah. So it's 3 and
yeah, because 17 games.
So 3-11 for me, 2-12 for you.
Yeah.
Okay. At Arizona.
Yeah. So yeah, loss.
I just want to give you a chance to renege your bet there.
Loss,
all right. Week 16 at Buffalo.
Loss.
I am that as a loss. Week 17 home against the Chargers. Justin Herbert plays
16. We're 16.
No, 17.
We're 17. Yep, I'm done. Yep. Oh, Chargers lost.
I get that as a win. And then at home versus Buffalo.
It's not winning game in December. And Buffalo lost. So they went 2-15 for me.
So I have them at 4-13. You have them at 2-15.
Yep. It's because once again, it's like because the problem is like, yo, how do you like it's the fact is that Alex Van Pelt is trying to hitch his wagon to Jacoby Brissett. Why? Once again, if anything, your claim to fame should be prepping Drake May so that if he was to win some games and y'all surprise some people, you might fuck around and get a head coaching job because of what you did with him. Just like they're looking at Bobby Slowick and how they looked at Nick Caley and some other guys. Like that's what you want to be, but you want to hitch your wagon to a journeyman and potentially not win.
A stabilizer, right?
Please, bullshit. Stabilizer, please. Stabilizer. Come on, man. It's an absolute joke what they've become down there. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. Once again, it's about the lighthouse. It's about the third down. Like and it's crazy. What? Come on, man. I'm sorry. Once again, you're gonna have to show me. You got to show me. And once again. And then once again, and I say this to say, you do know they're gonna fuck around and go 6-11 now, right? Because I'm just demonstrative about it. They're gonna fuck around and find a way to win 6 games, right? You know that's gonna happen, right?
I hope not. I
know. I hope not either because of like what they need to be. But it's just like you don't get Will Campbell that way. But it's just like at this moment, can they have a 2024 Red Sox type of run? And the answer is no.
No.
The answer is no.
You don't want them to, Ray. You shouldn't fucking want them to. Don't.
No, we shouldn't, but at the same time, it's just like I don't think anyone thought the Red Sox would win 50 games this year, and I'm being nice.
Well, I mean, their own internal team had them at 84, so I mean, someone.
Yeah, but it's just like that. I mean, come on. I just thought there was no way. I'm talking about just the fans, though. I mean, Sam Kingham was going to spit the bullshit out, but. I don't think anyone thought they would win more than 56 games. So the fact that they are already about to be around 70 and they keep winning most of their series as of late, and the only hiccups is because of bad bullpen at times. Alex Cora's done a hell of a job. So do I think
you're saying all of this?
Right. No, I say, but do I think Gerard Mayo becomes what Alex Cora or even what we saw from D'Amico Ryans last year? No, I don't. So I firmly believe that we're going to watch terrible football all year.
What if they do go 2-15, but they look really good in all their losses?
Cool.
Will you be happy?
Cool. Give me Will Campbell.
Right. That's what it's about, dude. That is what it is about. It is. Will they fundamentally look better than they did last year?
Look, same thing. Look what happened with Detroit. Detroit too, right? Detroit was looking wild, and then. I remember like the year before they got hot, like they caught fire at the end of the year. Remember being in Green Bay, and then the next year they went on a run. So that's what I'm saying. That's what my conflicted argument is because it's like, yo, don't tell me that winning games doesn't change the culture. People say, oh well, no, it's like no, you've got to win games and winning games breeds good habits. It just does. The next guy wants to play harder. The coaches want to coach harder. Like, that matters. But it's just like, oh, no, we just tank. Once again, I was in the tank for it last year because I knew, okay, you got to get a quarterback. They got that. Do I want to see them tank? Of course I don't. Of course I don't. I'm on record, on our Discord. I'm on air saying it. Like, of course I don't want to see them tank. But what, coming out of my fog, I realized, yo, they're not where they need to be. And it's just like 2-15 is generous. Because once again, before coming on here, in my mind, I'm like, they might go 1-16. I was 2-15 is generous. And once again, people say, oh man, you being dramatic and I can't eat your words.
You are.
Fine, whatever. Once again, you come on here and you formulate an opinion, then fine. But I'm just saying to you, if you think this team goes 8-9, 9-10-7. No. I'm saying like there's always one or two delusional fans that will say, they're gonna go 9-8, 10-7, whatever. Listen, I mean, I'm definitely not going to do this. I'm just being funny when I say this, but I would jump into the Charles River if they win 10 games.
I think you should do that.
Okay. So
they're not going to.
I would at the New England Patriots win 10 games, I would jump into the Charles River because that would be the miracle of all miracles.
No, that'd be the worst fucking thing in the world.
No, I'm saying it'd be a miracle for them to 10 games. What I'm saying, so I'm like that would be once again, if everybody took a leap, you're like, whoa, what happened? Now it's a different story because now you're like, okay, some other guys come in, whatever, cool. But once again, you need a left tackle of the future.
Yes.
And once again,
you can't win more than 6 games to get him.
6 games might be even too much. That's what I'm saying. I'm telling you, 2-15 should do it because I'm telling y'all, watch the tape. Will Campbell's the guy. I'm telling you that's the guy that should be here protecting Drake May for the next 10 to 15 years. I'm telling you, that should be our Peyton Manning and Jeff Saturday. I'm telling you, like that's gotta happen. Like we need that badly, real bad. So
love it.
Got to happen.
Well, let's just end on that positive note because there's going to be, according to both of us,
no Bezos, no Celtics.
no. I want to end on that one. We're going to have a lot of time to fill during football season, so we can talk about all of that. But you heard it here first. I had the New England Patriots at 4-13. That's what I'm going to have to pick when we do our NFC versus AFC prediction show, which is coming up here very soon. Ray doesn't have to pick the AFC, but we know if he did,
right.
To finish last. But for Hollywood, Rayshon, Buchanan, this is Michael Marcangelo saying tune in to Missing the Point week after week for more exciting content. We got a lot of good stuff coming up. But until next time, we will talk to you later.